Is AI magic or is it evil? Everyone seems to have an opinion, and it's really hard to get through the clickbait sometimes. Back in 2023, when ChatGPT was starting to get its stride, two men, Ken Shelton and Dee Lanier, wrote a book that has become my go-to for looking at AI with wisdom. It's called The Promises and Perils of AI in Education, and it's probably one of the best books on AI ethics that I've read. Even better, it's written for teachers. One of the things they did in this book is give lots of spaces in the margin for you to write notes, and I have plenty of notes. But here are some of the highlights. They start by making the case that to navigate AI with wisdom, you need to know a little bit about how it works. And to explain it, they use coffee analogies. For example, natural language processing, or NLP, is like the barista in the coffee shop that listens to understand your needs and is able to translate them into directions for making a coffee. A large language model is a lot like a coffee encyclopedia. It knows every kind of coffee from every place and every way to make it. It knows everything the world has ever known about coffee. And the analogies continue. And when you start to understand how it is that generative AI works, you start to better understand why it is that it's biased, whose voices are missing. It has a whole chapter on making decisions and the importance of humans making decisions, especially if humans don't understand how the algorithm works or how it's making its recommendations. If they make decisions based purely on the recommendations of AI, that can cause real harm to real people. There's a thoughtful section on facial recognition and the pros and cons of that. I see schools experimenting with the idea of facial recognition to take attendance, or using facial recognition or body movements to determine whether or not a child is heightened. But we need to be careful with those systems for a number of reasons. Based on how the AI is trained, it might pick out neurodiverse behaviors or reactions from other cultural backgrounds to be abnormal or to be a reaction of concern. We need to be really careful with that. Another section is about the trust that we put in other humans to disclose when AI has been used and when it hasn't been used. And it made me stop and consider how our schools can respond appropriately to incidents of harm, such as deepfakes. Not only do we have to think about the perpetrators, we need to consider the victims and their friends and the community. So if you're an educator and you're looking for a basic book on ethics and things to consider in school, highly recommend The Promises and Perils of AI in Education. For more tips and book talks about AI, be sure to follow so this ends up in your feed.